Well, folks, welcome back to whatever episode this is of Bar Talk here on this fine, whatever part of the day you're listening. Now, I won't waste any more time of your lovely people's times because this episode I've got the absolute pleasure of talking to alt hip-hop rapping sensation from Sydney. He's just put out his EP 2, Warm Blooded, and it is a ripper EP. Please give up your respects and silent clapping over the headphones to Raro.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
Yes.
Hey, Daniel, how's it going?
I forgot to ask. That's the correct pronunciation, yes?
Yeah, Raro. I mean,
Raro.
When I speak to Siri, it says Raro, but you can call me Raro. If you want complete accuracy, you have to imagine yourself as a husky. I'm trying to say Carlo, which is how I actually got my rap name. So I would bribe my husky Bowie with jelly beans, and eventually she spat out Raro. And then when I was making my music, I had to think about it. I'm like, I got to give myself a name, and that was the first that came into it. So yeah, if you want to pronounce it, just pretend you're a husky going Raro.
Raro. Yeah.
That's it. That's pretty much it, man. That's how that name came to be.
Yes, it's a dog. It's a real dog days over here.
Yeah, even my logo, I was like, I have to put the dog in there, of course.
I don't think I've seen the logo.
Yeah, I think I've got it on my Instagram somewhere. Okay. But it's like a dog with a bone in its mouth.
I'm bringing up the Instagram right now, folks. Actually, there's a funny story because you're not the only rapper or artist that's called Raro.
I noticed that too, and there's a drink as well, like some sort of like Kool-Aid thing in New Zealand as well. I think
really,
called Raro. Yeah. So there's other there are other Raros out there. We're all just howling at the moon.
Well, because this is funny, and if the other Raro is listening, he's probably going to find this funny because when we played your song of version, one of your the first single off your EP, when I was tagging everyone on Instagram, I tagged the other Raro. And he's from Melbourne, actually.
Really?
We ended up chatting. Yeah. Because he's like, it's like two. I think he said he's also a rapper, which is bizarre.
Wow.
I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, other Raro.
There's another Raro there. Like this already. We should him up.
But and then he goes, look, I think you've got the wrong guy. I haven't released my music. That my music hasn't come, like the song hasn't come out yet of mine. It's like, shit, sorry. I'll rectify that immediately. And you mentioned so your Raro is Raro on Instagram. We normally don't go over
Raro is Raro. Yeah,
but you mentioned the drink. The other Raro is Raro like the juice.
I see. Interesting. So we don't know the juice. I haven't even tried it. I need to try it.
I've never tried. I don't. The only one I know that's from New Zealand is Iron Brew.
Oh, yeah, Iron Brew.
Or is it from Scotland? I don't know. It's something somewhere like that.
It's a energy drink, isn't it? Like a sweet tasting, like
I don't know.
I've had it once. I think it's interesting.
Actually, I just realised for our non-alcoholic review this month, I will have to actually try it. So just remind me, folks, if I haven't by the end of this month, if I haven't tried Iron Brew for my non-alcoholic drink, because you can get it. There is a UK and New Zealand section at the supermarket. I don't know if you've ever realised.
Yes.
Purely for all the Kiwi expats out in the audience. That you can get your Iron Brew and your weird lollies or whatever that they make over there.
Yes. I actually frequently look at that aisle in Coles, and I always leave with something, admittedly, which it's one of my vices. I love my sugar, man, so I'm always in that aisle. About
it's lollies of the world with Raro.
Yes, I like to try all flavors and make sure that it inspires my taste buds and my musical ventures.
Well, speaking of culinary delights with rappers, I saw that was a couple of years ago now. What was his name? Why has my mind gone blank? That bloody white rapper from Post Malone.
Post Malone.
That white rapper.
Which
one, Daniel?
I love that guy.
Post Malone did like a whole thing about why he loves Olive Garden or whatever that place is in America.
Interesting.
Apparently they do free. Apparently that's, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, American listeners, but apparently they give you free garlic bread sticks or whatever over there.
Damn, I need to go visit. I like garlic bread.
I love
Damn. I love It's just even more so.
It's just breadsticks. I don't know. Like
breadsticks are hectic.
It's like when you go to Guzman y Gomez and they just like it's like
the
you can just go
toppings, man. Like I go hard on the free toppings. You have to.
You just get as much hot sauce and as much coriander and red onion as you want.
Yeah, red onion and jalapenos. Yeah, man, 100%.
Yeah,
good.
red onions.
So
top of my. But I noticed now with COVID, it's like RIP the self-serve salsa bar. They have to. You have to ask for it now. You have to go.
Yeah, you do.
Please, and not just can I have a tub of coriander. It's like, can you please put coriander in my taco?
Yeah. It's like, can you put an excessive amount? Like, I know that sounds rude, but can you just give me more than the normal, please? Because that's what I would do.
Yeah, no, they put about 1/4 of what you would normally put in.
It's sad, man. It's sad.
GYG execs, this is my prayer to you. Please bring back the salsa bar when COVID's over. I want to overdose on red onion and green jalapeno hot sauce.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that.
Missing the zest.
We will make a petition.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get it done.
Next EP is going to be dedicated to Mexican food.
100%. Yes. I don't challenge me. I'll do it. I'll write a song completely about tacos, and I will not feel bad about it.
My enchilada homies.
The enchilada homies. Oh, I like that.
We stick together. When things get hot, we stick together.
That's it. Always spicy. Remember.
Not too cheesy.
Not too cheesy.
No.
But enough sleazy. I feel that. Yeah, I love me some GYG, man. Always there. So good.
Yeah, there was I'm so sad because we haven't been able to go there for like the last 9 months, but there is a Mexican place that does it half priced every Monday and Tuesday, and they do these they do like the margarita bowls that you get at you get at the Taco Bell, but better.
Yeah, that's mad.
It's just so much good, and it's really good too. I can't wait to go back, but it's just. I really hope they don't get rid of the half price thing when they open again. I'll be so disappointed if they do.
That's bad review. You have to put it on Google for sure. Be like, look, man, I need that half price back. Please.
Yeah. Oh, it's like it was always packed. It was always their busiest night. It was like was always hard. You always had to book in. So hopefully,
yeah, 100%.
Anyway, enough about Mexican food and more about some tasty tunes that have been coming out recently. Raro, you've released your brand new EP called Cold Blooded.
Yeah,
I think I said warm-blooded.
Warm-blooded.
My God, Michael.
Sometimes I am cold-blooded, but it's like I like to stay reptilian sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I
just realised Michael's put the name of the EP wrong in the press release.
It's okay, man. Anyways, it's warm-blooded. And look, I'll give you some backstory on that, why I call it warm-blooded. Mainly because, man, like I always feel, it sounds strange, but like my body always feels physically hot, and it kind of frustrates me. And then I was thinking about when I was writing this EP, I'm like, man, this whole thing sounds extremely frustrated. And so when I was workshopping the name for it, I was like, you know what? Like I feel hot, and, I need to get outside and get some air. And I was like, man, I'm always warm-blooded. I'm like, whoa, warm-blooded. Like that's cool. Yeah, I'm like, this is perfect. Like it's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, you're obviously not one of the lizard people then.
No, but I finally make reference to it in a version.
You don't? Did you?
Yeah, like, in a version, like, I don't know, depends if you're listening intently to some of the lyrics, but at one point in time, I think I talk about lizard people.
There's so many references. And I know that's a rapping thing. It's always a hip-hop thing to drop references.
Yeah.
But it really is just full of them. Like, you've got old, and I'm guessing they must be horror film clips in some of the tracks. And you've got, like, any versions, like what is it where is it from? The moment he knew he fucked up. That's in so many.
Man, it was from that meme of that guy like jumping over the crates, and then he tries to make the gap, but then he falls and like bashes his face a little bit. It was from that.
But where is it from? Where's the original audio from? Like I've been trying to work it out.
Actually, look, man, I tried to search it a little bit at the time, but it was sort of just like chilling in my like meme sample bank, and I'm like, ooh, I'm just gonna use this.
Just remember, folks.
Yeah, I have to source the one a little bit more, go a bit deep to the internet.
Just remember, folks, any meme is copyright free.
Yes, exactly.
Just remember that, folks. Everyone.
I saw it and I was like, you know what? Like, and part of my motto to that as well, man, is like, I like to involve humor when I can. Like if I can, I like inject some whimsicalness into the stuff I do. I have to do it. So yeah, it definitely that the choice for that sample was yeah, it didn't take me too long. I chucked it in and I was like, yes.
Well, I have to admit, I do, because it does change key, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. A lot of what I really like about Warm Blooded, as opposed to my prior release with Planet Cool, it not only does it tell a story of just my progression as a producer and an artist, but what I wanted to challenge myself with was seeing how much I could get away with within 3 minutes, or however long I'm writing my track, because you're writing music and you're developing certain like progressions and like, different verse bits and, reprises and choruses. But, like I liked like, especially like taking reference from JPEG Mafia and like just all of these experimental old hip hop producers. I love how they take you through this journey of sound in a song, and it's not like your typical 4/4. You've got your chorus, verse, chorus, all that. It's like I really wanted to utilize the idea of sort of taking people are listening to the music through a journey. So it's almost like even though there's 7 tracks on there, for me it feels like it feels longer in a sense, like with the switch ups. And that little like sample that I used was like, that was sort of like one of my techniques of sort of like taking people through that journey. It's almost like a light switch moment where you're like flicking off to something else, and it's almost like an alternative path to what you think the song would go in. And that actually was a really good challenge for me as well, because I really had to sort of like use my ears and make sure that those transitions were either intentionally abrupt and like worked for that particular reason, or that they like transitioned quite smoothly into the next sort of development of that part of the song. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing that with this EP. And like Planet Cool was a little bit more I think it was my first sort of like, not attempt at writing music, but sort of like building like sonic imagery. The first, I think it was very innate for me to sort of write the songs the way I did back then. And so I really wanted to push the limits with this one and just try different techniques and whatnot.
So do you feel then that your album last year with Planet Cool was sort of just building on what you could do as a producer, and then this year with the new EP, you were saying, well, how can I push it? Is that what you intend? That's what you're intending.
Yeah, and like it turned out like a lot of those songs, I think Genuflect was like one of the first ones I wrote that sort of guided this whole project. That was when I first really tried to do it, and I was like, wow, like this is pretty powerful in what I could do with just this length of time. And it felt like me just trying to push the limits, seeing what else I could do. And because I think the instrumentals is a big part of like why I love doing all of this is, it sets the stage in a sense for me. Yeah. And once I've got that like composition of something that sounds unique, or, that's when I start really thinking lyrically, like, well, what's the narrative? Like, what's the setting in this now? Like, how am I going to attack this? Like, what's like the character that I'm sort of taking on for this performance of this track? And that's what I really liked about it. Really like writing those instrumentals in that way really got my brain thinking like, damn, like now, there's obstacles here. Then now the character goes this way. And it's really cool, man. Yeah.
So does song order really play an importance when you are putting your releases together? Because like, do you find that you're writing in order, or is it just you have to do a lot of shuffling around once you've got the skeletons of the songs together?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think on surface value, you would assume that like maybe artists like, would write in that sort of chronological order of the way that the album is stacked. But I'd say it's sort of like a 50-50 situation. Like with those ones, with Warm Blooded specifically, I think it was like, the way that the album starts is very similar to how I wrote it. Towards the end, it flips up a little bit in terms of like order of chronological, the way I sort of wrote those tracks, and but I genuflect transitioning into what is it? Headless Geisha.
Mm.
Those two. And then I think I wrote a version after that. I was going to chuck it in. I think I had it in third spot at one point, but then I moved it because, I think when you're starting to put it all together, what I like to do is like I chuck all my tracks into like one audio project, like new project, and sort of just play with different sequencing and what they sound like. So I guess to answer your question, I think for me, it felt right to start with my first one that I wrote for this project, which was Genuflect, and then the rest that followed was like, okay, so let's see how this goes sonically, like if this song bleeds well into this song, or
And I guess since it has been released now for a few weeks, have you found that the reactions from people around you have been what you were expecting, or has it surprised you what people's thoughts have been about the release?
It's interesting. Like when I released on release day, I had a lot of my mates listening to it and sort of like giving me their favorite tracks or what they like. I knew with this project, because it is like I am comparing it. I shouldn't compare it to Planet Cool, but I know that I set a certain expectation with my past work, but with this one, I'm like, I really don't know how people are going to perceive it. I really enjoyed it, and when I was showing it to people, and when I was developing it and having the homies come over and check out the new stuff, I was gauging
the crew,
when the boys,
the brothers that'd die for you.
Yeah, 100%. And they know who they are. They
know what's real, yo.
Yeah. I'm just sort of sitting there and just playing them these crazy ass tracks that I've made, and I'm gauging their reactions, and that's sort of that's what I found was really important in this project as well, because I don't claim to be a professional. I'm just a guy making music and putting stuff together, but seeing, having those people who will give me real feedback, and constructive feedback, just gauging their expectations of what I played, I felt pretty confident about it. And when I went out, man, it's, it's overwhelming at some points where, you get all this amazing positive, feedback, and people are playing your music, and, so look, to answer the question, I think it's been received well, within my reach, I guess, but when you release a project, it's an ongoing thing, it's out there now, and, people will hit you up randomly every now and then and just let you know their thoughts on the songs and stuff. Yeah. So, it's an ongoing process, but, man, I'm always happy when I release music, and this being a more experimental one, I've been more interested in to see what people have been saying about it, and I'd say it's been received quite well. A lot of people like it. Some people are a bit confused. My family gets a bit confused when they listen to it, because it's a bit intense. Yesterday, I was with my mom. We were just driving around, and she started putting it on. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this is cool, but I'm like, I wonder what my mom's thinking about it. But she'll always like it.
There was
Yeah, but I wonder, I'm trying to think, I'm like, what does she actually think of this composition of this song? It's a bit different. It's not how, the music that she usually listens to. So, I don't know, man. You get all different sorts of things, some people, it's a little bit of oh, you're doing this stuff now. And it's also a bit of yo, this is mad, so I don't know.
You'll have to put in a little secret microphone or camera in the car, so you can catch her actual natural reaction to it, just so you get the real feedback.
Yeah, she pulled me out the other day, because in Apple, I completely recorded one of our phone conversations without her knowing and threw it in the song, and she was happy about it when she heard it. But I'm always recording. I'm always walking around with freaking phone pocket, mic's hot, just get all the birds and the diegetic sounds of nature.
Your next release should be called. Your next release should be called National Security, whatever it is. NSA. Your next release could be called NSA.
Yeah, man, I should just become an agent. He's
already got all the equipment.
I'm ready to go. Sign me up.
Just put codes in your songs. It's just with the old school
messaging.
No, in the James Bond films or whatever, Get Smart, they'll have the scene where the guy comes up and he'll say a random phrase. And the guy, we Get Smart, where the phrase where he's been told, the baseball team will meet at 10 or something like that. And he's and then he's expecting that to be the phrase. And then some random guy opens up the paper and it's about baseball. And the baseball team will meet at 10. He thinks he's the agent when he's really just some random reading a newspaper and gets confused. It's like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, I like that idea. It's like little breadcrumbs. It's cool. Yeah.
I was going to say, you mentioned about your family and that. So obviously there has been a level of support then, even though it might not be the music that your family is used to.
Yeah.
They've obviously been very supportive of you with your musical endeavors.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Well, like my mom really got me into music when I was young. Like my first earliest memories of music is Michael Jackson, dancing in the lounge room. We had this old piano, which I just learned. I sort of just started playing, just for entertainment. So my family has always been very supportive, and my mom put me into piano classes and stuff. Hated it, didn't like it. It was cool. I mean, like I was like, okay, I guess I'll learn how to play. But like she's a very big part of sort of my musical passion, and like she really got me into music because she loved to dance and like teach choreography and all that stuff. So I was introduced to music and pop music and like R&B and soul and all sorts of stuff that was happening in the 90s at a pretty young age. So now like they're super supportive. It's interesting, like even my sister. So my sister's like, she's quite creative herself. We recently did like a photo shoot, which was sort of, her business is kind of like creating costumes for like artists and stuff. Okay. Like for film clips and things.
What a handy resource to have just lying around. Familial favors.
Yeah, well,
I won't tell Mum what you did last week if you make me a costume.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much like, man, she's a gun at it too. So, like in terms of talking about support, like that was a project that she was doing to sort of boost her business. But, I featured as the model for that. And, next thing you know, we've got this like nice collaborative project, which we're both, really happy about. And that sort of just shows like the level of support, that I'm currently, blessed to have in my family. My dad's very supportive. It's good, man. And it's nice to have that because I know there are people out there who are, making music and, their parents may be telling them not to do it for whatever reasons, and like, I completely understand that, but, I'm very grateful that I have that and that, they constantly give me that love and support that, everyone needs when they're making stuff for themselves.
Cool. You mentioned just then, I'm going to quickly mention the song we're about to play actually, which is the brand new single Genuflect and the opening track, as you were mentioning before, of the EP. You mentioned just then you did learn piano. So I want to know, because the song features a lot of quite prominent Latin inspired piano. Did you actually do that yourself, or was that sampled?
Yeah. So like to complete transparency, there was a sample that I really liked and I wanted to replicate it. And having the piano skills that I have, so I sort of like took inspiration from this one thing and then played it in. What one of my weird talents is with music is like I don't actually know how to read music. When I was young, they tried to teach me and I knew for a little bit, but like everything for me has been in the ears. So like when I hear something and I give myself enough time, I can almost completely replicate the melody. So it's like, and then obviously at that point you make your own changes, you personalize it and stuff. And, but a lot of that is, me playing. So,
How much of the EP in total is real instruments, or how much compared to samples?
So I use Ableton to produce my music, so as you know, like I have an array of like MIDI instruments plus samples and all that stuff too. This project, I mix it, I would say it's almost like, it's hard to say, like, speaking about that journey part of my tracks and how they change so frequently, it's hard to remember, but it's quite balanced, if not more MIDI with some of it. And then a lot of the samples that I use them for texture to add sort of like, see, one of my favorite things to do, just being an advocate of like and complete enthusiast of film and all of that and storytelling is I always wanted my tracks to sound sort of cinematic or have an element that's almost otherworldly. So a lot of the samples I use, I'm very fond of using like atmospheric kind of ominences and ambiences to sort of start as a first layer, and then I build around that. Yeah. So the whole project sort of has a mix of both MIDI and also sampling.
Nice. I think we should get straight on to playing Genuflect, I think.
Yeah,
it's a damn good song and a great opener, really. Gathers your attention for the rest of the release.
Thank you.
So here it is. We'll be back soon with Raro, speaking all things, well, who knows what we'll be speaking about. We haven't recorded it yet. But yes, it's Genuflect. It's the latest single off Warm Blooded, the new EP, out now. So we'll play it for you now and we'll be back soon.
Thank you.
Mystic smoke, it awakens us. Dreaming in your room with the daisy dust. I don't know about you, but I feel the lust. Chilling with you is like a crazy buzz. It's made of ice, deadly crush. Made of you, dangerous. Better tip tap rain on the ground. Kids in the dark are still run around. Breath of forgiveness in the bedroom eyes. Vulnerable, but a compromise. With a God sent from heaven. So I do not destabilize. Vaporize the oxygen. Breathe it out and immortalize the temporary and present. In your presence, I am compromised.
Make it last forever. Every single Sunday night.
The sunrise got me sensitive, the sundown got me paralyzed. I'll be quick to praise and quick to die if I don't stop and I immunize. Normalize my free time, realize, switch it up, synchronize, not schizophrenic. Sunday when I'm synthesized, every moment stretch wide. Preach a love but there's hate aside, satisfy this hunger. Actualize my every line, my every rhyme, and my every truth, and my every lie, my every crime. Go! Fuck! Rock my words cause I'm used to being ridiculed. Scars on my skin from the past individual. Hit at 26, made it through, it's a miracle. Moving on, shit my bed, shit my molecules. Criminal. I need you okay. Criminal. I need you spiritual. Late times on cartoons in my room. Girl called palette that the keys from. Spice in the night, make my heart zoom. Bullet from the past, click, boom. Painted with a feeling, color palette, my mood. Personify everything you can be so full. I hate it when we fight, never want to lose. Once upon a time I used to say my prayers. My eyes are closed but I see nightmares. Conversations in my head, they raise my hairs. Oh baby bear, call you up, I can hear your voice.
Are you there?
Feeling for the sex in your iris glare. You know I really mean it when I say you're rare. Truth or dare, are you scared? I was born to flame, smoke, yeah. Feel it deep inside of my multi-layer. There's a space for two and I'm down to share.
Memory never rages. A time machine in my mind, I'm flicking through the pages. When I call out my name, I'll be free from definition. With 24 hours on the limit to my day, and I'll be free from superstition, paranoia, drug addiction. I got a secret mission, cutting clear, here's my vision. You can hear it if you listen, we can clear it, clean my system, fire up, combustion, pissing. Pissing on my drug addiction, even though I'm feeling different. It won't kill me, no submission, don't think twice, I'm feeling good. Chilling in my neighborhood, navigating in the woods, learning lessons understood. Thanking God I'm not alone, I got my family from my phone. Spirit God always help, even when I'm on my own.
Oh, yeah, folks, take a load of that in. That was the newest single by Raro, Genuflect. Oh, you'll be on you're on your knees after that song, I tell you.
Yes.
Down the aisle.
Thank you.
Praying for the Lord of music. No.
Praise his soul.
Really good song. And yeah, as we said, great opener to the whole EP. I've noticed that when I was listening to it, there's just every single song just follows after the other one, but it provides a different tone. There's just there's no two songs that are the same on the release. I'm guessing that was a intentional thing, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Big inspiration to the project. So, I mean, a lot of the themes are like romance, tragedy, religion, hence a lot of those sort of like Genuflect is kind of like based on like my experience with religion, like going through it, falling out of it, like all that sort of noise. But in terms of the tones, yeah, one of my biggest inspirations as well was Dante's Inferno, the book.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I really wanted to embody that sort of level of like this character traveling through. I mean, what you could make analogy to of like the nine circles of hell kind of thing. So, like each track sort of represents a point in time of like this greater journey. So why I sort of wrote the tracks to almost like transition into each other, but it's almost like they're all sort of part of this collective story, I guess. So that was in there. That's sort of the intention with why the tracks sort of have that sort of flow thing to them. Yeah.
Dante's, see, this is the thing, I don't know if you've ever had the chance of studying it at all, but Dante's Inferno, for those of you who don't know, people know what Dante's Inferno is, everybody does, but I don't think people quite realize how important it is to the language of it, the Italian language, because it really is their version of Shakespeare. Like how influential the language is into the modern day way that they speak and write. It's just considering how old, and it's a lot older than Shakespeare. But
translations.
But essentially how close it is to the modern language is surprising considering how old it is.
Yeah, like you read it and like on first impression you're like, okay, so it's kind of like poetic and it's sort of like stanzas and all that stuff. But once you start reading and you're like actually can kind of formulate an idea of what's happening here. And it has so many like even just the crux of it like has a lot of you can draw a lot of like similarities and, really compare a lot of life experiences into some of those situations that character goes through. So, it's cool.
I've been waiting for I'm surprised no one's made an adaptation, like a movie or TV adaptation of it yet. That's what I'm surprised about. Like I know it would be totally different to the original, but how crazy would it be to get an adaptation? I think you could do it these days, but it would just be, it would have to be, I reckon Netflix would get on that shit for sure.
100%. It's such a captivating story as well. It's funny you say that, but the first introduction I had to it was actually a video game, which was like an action video game on PS3, I think it was. But like that was my first introduction to it. I haven't seen any films or anything like that referencing it in that way, but that game was almost like the action combat version of it, and that's how I got into the book, and I was like, oh, there's a book too, and then started dabbling in it. I was like, man, video games is always like my entry, like my gateway to a lot of things. I love it.
Don't say you don't like the anime when you haven't read. Was it? Don't say you like the anime when you haven't read the manga or whatever it is. Manga.
I break a lot of those rules, bro. Like, I was like, oh, did you read the manga? I'm like, nah, I can't just watch the cartoon. They're like, well, you're not a true believer. I'm like, what? I don't know, man. Like, when I feel inspired, I'm inspired, and like whatever like hits me first in that first, impression of whatever media I'm looking at, that's the get go for me,
So do you find then before you start writing or start, start putting down tracks, do you tend to find that you're absorbing a lot of art as you do it?
Yeah, 100%. It's like I'm working on a project right now, which I could sort of just talk a little bit about in terms of themes and stuff. But, like I love the genre of noir and like neo-noir. And, it's like that's sort of always like my biggest inspiration, like a certain wave or a certain sort of genre or styling of something is generally what influences what I'm going to do next. So, there'll be times where maybe I'll be really into, like sci-fi, for example, or something like that. And, like Interstellar kind of stuff, and that will sort of influence everything that I'll do for the next couple months, whether it's, drawing or it's making music. And I mean, the biggest part why I love making music is because I can combine all of it into one, with like visual imagery for the project plus the music. So currently right now, what I'm really inspired, is by like neo-noir stuff. And I've been really like watching, like Twin Peaks, True Detective, even some of the real like, LA noir kind of stuff, like that is sort of the wave I'm on at the moment. And so, I guess to answer your question, I feel like before I start writing or really getting, start actually building a project as opposed to just writing, one-off songs or whatever, it's definitely, it comes from just observing what's around me at the time, what I'm inspired by, what I'm watching, what I'm listening to, what I'm reading. It's all of that for sure.
Do you find then that there's a lot of stuff in the outside world that influences where what art you sort of intake, or is it purely like, I want to have a look in this? I saw this film the other day; it's really cool. Let me explore that.
Do you mean in regards to like everyday, like sort of like is like everyday life that inspires me? Is that what you mean? Like the way I believe it into it?
And you can answer that question however you so feel. How about that?
Okay, well, let's put it this way.
It's a interview 101. Ask open-ended questions.
True. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. But like, I think the few things you said in there sort of triggered a little bit of a train of thought in my head. But the rapping and the lyrics and the singing and all of that is like almost the reality, like the language. Okay, yeah. So it's almost like, for me, if I could sort of break it up into little bits, the overall like theming and the style of writing, instrumentally and like creating visuals and whatnot, that all is very inspired by that sort of fictional world of like just the things that I'm into. But then the rapping and the writing, that's when it sort of gets grounded, and I take inspiration. It's sort of like the middle point. It's like the language. It's like, okay, so this is my idea of what I'm like setting the stage for. Then the lyrics come in, and that's sort of where I build the communication with whoever's listening. I sort of ground it with that style of rapping and writing or singing. So it's like there's that little middle point, and that comes a lot from the way I sort of write my lyrics and whatnot is generally quite based off experiences that I'm going through at the current point in time. So whether it's like social things like with my mates, or it's something with like just like romantic life and all that stuff, that's where it sort of meets two worlds collide, and then I create this sort of end result. I guess that's a mixture of like outside influences and like social influences of where I'm at, what's happening mentally, all of that. Yeah.
I want to just touch on sorry. I just want to touch on lyrics for a second, and not so much lyrics, but the way you pace yourself throughout the EP, because it is very consistent, I've noticed. So what I was noticing was that, yes, your vocals, your cadence was very consistent throughout the whole thing, as opposed to the instrumentals. So, and I found that the melody very much came from what you were creating beyond the lyrics. So I'm guessing, do you find that depending on the tone you're trying to go for, does your cadence change? Do you purposefully think, right, I'm gonna rap in this particular rhythm, or I'm gonna really put this sort of tone into the way I sort of speak?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, because cadence is, I think for anyone who is rapping or singing or just performing vocally in general, it's something you develop over time. So when I came to this project, I was listening to a lot of the instrumentals. Some have that element of like romanticness to them, but then others are quite aggressive and intense or whatever. And I think going back to what I was saying about like using my ear and stuff, my cadences and the way I deliver and write and, whether it's flow or whatever, it's generally based off like how I'm hearing it through the song. So it's like how can I hear myself to this track? And that's where I go for, like, if it's something that feels sinister to me, it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep the tone serious for this one. And then if the instrumental switches up and it's like intense, for example, on Headless Geisha, there's the outro part to that is very intense. I'm like, nah, this is where I want to sort of unleash, because like that's that build up. So I change the way I'm sort of vocally performing it to suit the music, I guess, in a sense. I think and another thing is as well, like I wanted to, obviously keeping consistency is a big thing, because like that's me keeping the character relevant, and you're not losing the character throughout the whole project. Like it still sounds like you can tell this is the same person, but you want to feel that sort of anguish, or you want to feel that sense of love, or you want to feel that sense of empathy with certain songs, and that's dictated based on how I sort of perform my voice. Man. So it's I'd say in my brain, it's sort of like I hear the track, or sometimes it's interesting because I think sort of having to manage all of them, like the writing of the instrumentals plus the lyrics and stuff, as opposed to having a producer who produces for me and then I write on top. It's interesting because sometimes you'll be writing lyrics and then, obviously you're practicing them out loud, you're rapping them just to see how they sound. And then sometimes that builds my cadence, and then I build the song around based off those lyrics and the way I hear it when I was writing it. So yeah, it's hard to answer, but I try to keep it consistent so that the listeners don't, get lost in the chaos, and that there's still a reference point there, whilst embodying what's happening in the song as well.
So did you find then that, because you mentioned you sort of started to build it around the cadence after you started putting the songs together. So were there any songs on the record that actually got rewritten halfway through?
Yeah. So, Recliner actually took me a very, very long time to write. More than usual. I knew, for me, when I heard it, I really liked it. So I'm like, I need to keep developing this song, and obviously not overproduce it and not overdo it.
You fall victim to the classic producer's dilemma. Do I add another layer of chorus?
Hard, man. How many times do I have to hear this before I feel that it's right? It's
more bass boost. More bass boost.
Yeah, hard, man. But what do you call it? I don't know. Yeah, Recliner got rewritten many a time. Even lyrically, that was actually one where I sort of struggled with my cadence a little bit, because I was like, oh, this is different. Do I go for something a bit more G, or and it's interesting, whenever that sort of train of thought starts hitting me, I'm like, you know what, man, just be yourself, go back to your roots and just perform it and see how it sounds. And then generally that's always what ends up making the mark. So 100%, man, I'm definitely victim to all of that. And I think it's something, it's strange. It's the more knowledge you gain about doing something, the more you face those inner obstacles. Because Planet Cool, I love that project so much because it was me just being completely free and then writing however I wanted to write and being so okay with it all. It had its challenges as well, but yeah, this one, now that I've sort of I'm going through this phase of starting to mature a little bit in what I do, and I'm starting to try and make the best decisions that I can. But at the end of the day, it's music, and music's language of the soul. So it has to come from it doesn't have to come from the brain all the time. It has to come from the feelers. So yeah.
Before we move on to what we're going to play real soon, I just want to ask, because there's something that you said there sort of makes me wonder, was there anyone that you had on standby during the creative process that was basically I think the equivalent of your umpire? I usually consider them in any project. Somebody there that goes, right, that's enough. Let's stop this, and let's just put things into perspective. You don't need another layer of bass boost.
There's a few of those.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you maybe describe those people that were helping you along that way?
Yeah, so my boy Mark, guy I've known for a very long time, he actually manages other artists in the electronic scene. And we've been very close. I've done little projects with him in the past, design and art based, but then once I started making music and that was sort of his realm, he really gave me so much insight. I always send stuff to him all the time to just have a listen to. His ears are amazing. He loves hip hop. We're on the we just love the same kind of music, and him working with producers all the time was super insightful, and he's always been so supportive and really sort of calling me out in those shots of do you think this is too much? And he'll rope me in, and I need that too. It's when you're creating everything sort of yourself, you can get a bit you hear it one way, but someone else will hear it completely differently. And he's just one of those ears that I need to have sort of help, helping me make those decisions. It's good to have him there. Mad dude. And then the two others would be my mate Patrick. He actually my mate Patrick, he's actually sort of in a team with this other guy Adam, but Patrick, he sort of shot he's actually behind a lot of my music videos. And another dude I've known since very young age, been homies for a very long time. And whenever I write something either with him or if I'm writing something by myself, he'll always give me an honest opinion. You know, because he's a producer as well. Like he'll come like and sort of help me fix up my projects a little bit too. So it's mad having him around as well. And my mate Ruben, who I write music with as well. Yeah, he's just another bro that's just always over. And, you know, whenever I've got something new to show, he'll always give me a good, honest opinion and sort of make sure that, yeah, you know, like I feel like when you start making music and, you know, you start putting it out there, like you start attracting people within your own sort of friendship groups who are into that. And, you know, those are the kind of people who will support you, but also give you and tell you what's real, you know? So it's, yeah, like I've definitely had a lot of people help me out, sort of make certain decisions on certain tracks. So, yeah, it's been really helpful. And shout out to those guys, mad loyal dudes. And, you know, I support them just as much. You know, they've all got their own creative things going on too. So it's exciting to see what they're doing all the time as well. So it's just, yeah, it's like one big little happy family kind of thing.
Bit of give and take there. You watch
100%.
them grow, they watch you grow.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really cool, man. And like, because like in the end, we're all creatives just, you know, trying to like express and make something. And, you know, when, yeah, you find those people in your life who, you know, understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know, they're the ones that will really help you out or hold you down when you need to like listen to something or just pull it back a little bit. Yeah, it's good.
That's it. It's like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, 100%.
The Brady Bunch for
the hip hop Brady Bunch, man.
the hop bunch. The hip hop bunch. Let's before we play the next song too, I want to quickly ask, what are your plans for the upcoming year or so? You mentioned that there may possibly be a bit more collaboration involved.
Yeah, look, man, I'd love to get back on stage. At this point in time, like I'm the kind of guy that I'll fight the current as much as I can, but eventually I'll just release to the waves, you know, and, you know, this year has had a lot of waves. So I think at this point in time,
not the biggest fish in the sea, to use that, if we're going for the ocean analogy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting. Like I've sort of removed a lot of my own personal, like I've adapted a bit, you know, like I see this period of time, like towards the end of the year, more to just, you know, promote the project when I can and, you know, get it out there and all that. And it's hard because like, you know, you want to put yourself on stage and stuff, and I could definitely do that. But, you know, like if I perform, I want to, you know, everyone that I know that appreciates the music, I want them to have the opportunity to come and not have to feel limited because of some sort of capacity, you know. And like at this point in time, I think maybe next year once things lift up a little bit, I'll sort of get out there more and jump on the stage and that. But I think at this point in time, I really want to keep just working on new stuff, maybe even like create potential videos for Warm Blooded again. That would be mad. Like I'd love to sort of visualize some of those songs more.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite projects as well, is like, you know, being able to nurture the visual side and, you know, invite people into what Raro's world kind of looks like in the way I want to present that. It's exciting because, you know, it gives me opportunity to sort of like take the music to a different level and still have a lot of creative input into it. And yeah, so maybe more content I think would be great. But there's always something in the mix, you know, whether it's new tracks or it's a new project or something. But I think, yeah, the rest of this year, it's just maybe work a little bit more harder and then have a little bit of a break towards the end and just recap, see how everything's going. And yeah, man.
Sweet. We'll quickly chat actually before we talk about the song we're about to play. Let's quickly chat about your socials. Where can we find the new EP? Where can we listen to it? Where can we connect with you?
Yep. So pretty much on all streaming platforms, you know, your major ones, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, Raro, Raro, Warm Blooded. Socials, man, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. My handle is Raro. There's many Raros out there. If you find yourself
as we mentioned,
okay. That drink is good, and those other rappers are great. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And yeah, pretty much on most streaming platforms and social platforms. My head should be poking up there somewhere.
Raras, bro. Raras, bro. Oh, yeah.
I like that. I mean, they got to pack that one.
Speaking of something a bit rare, this next track is not a single we're going to play. We're going to play Mine's Gone Blank. It's bloody Recliner.
Yeah.
It is the
bit of a mind blank song too. It'll get you in a vibe, that's for sure.
Talk about bookends. This is the final track off the EP.
Yeah.
I was going to say this could definitely work with a video, because you were mentioning before about your ideas behind the song. Maybe if you could just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Recliner, I feel like a lot of my music that I listen to that, is generally in the car. So, whenever I'm driving around anywhere, that's when I feel like my mind is most active musically. And, obviously when I wrote this track and tested it out in my car, I'm like, damn, it's coming, So, the song it hits me with so many sort of LA street vibes, GTA inspired, rolling around the streets, being a degenerate. It's got a really kind of
running over a few pedestrians.
Yeah, causing a little bit of chaos, putting googly eyes on model photos and all that. It's a bit of a fun track, but then it sort of ends up in this, as you'll hear in the next couple minutes, it goes through some twists and turns, and I feel like the track itself has a lot to present in terms of this sort of cityscape character moving through the motions of a really interesting night. So yeah, tackling that visually will be really fun. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the track. It's a funky one. So yeah.
Please do, folks. And we're going to play it for you right now. Why don't you take us out on the song, Raro? Tell us who you are and what you're listening to.
Yep. Yo, so this is Raro, and you're listening to Recliner from Warm Blooded. Enjoy.
Rocket stealth lab coat, phantom vision veils the way you flip a coin for the past, because the future may be saved. A little aimless although rectify aim, bro. GPS coordinates, opinion or the subordinates. My heart T pour slow, call the strike, call the ordinance. Recline the chair and the horses whip. Don't care if the forces tip. An alibi to the mortar spit. I'm bored with all the talking shit. Same thing, bored and all the things disorderly. Wanting more than this. Ain't it hard to be sometimes? The right love for me. I'm blind, diving into empathy all night. Is it so hard to see through lies? The only choice to seize. The only choice to seize. I wish my hands would just stop getting the sweats. I used to focus on my problems and the shit I regret. Always trying to forget shit from yesterday's mess, but it's under the carpet, shit's waiting to set. Skirt, foot off, full tank. Money in the bank, I'm a terrorist in the back. No heart attack, we ain't living to whack. We don't smoke that crack, that shit make you crash. Sidekick, side witch, casting spell. She bad bitch, poison apple sandwich. Candles lit, magic, one hand flick. Turn haters into toads, nightmare in one click.
You like it when it's quiet?
I find it too noisy in the basement. I like to play the piano next to you.
Well, let's suppose, just for a minute, that you were to have $100,000. What would you do with it?
Back to life, live life like I'm golden. Celebrate, spend cash, cause I'm broken. And I'm poking holes in these clouds. Look at all these rings I be smoking. Beautiful bad habits, I'm joking. Resurrect, second chance to still run. Look at all these things I become. Save the best for last, now I'm gone. Ordinary to disarray. Picture perfect fade away. Curate my gallery. It's like my fucking day to day. Ordinary to disarray. Picture perfect fade away. Curate my gallery. It's like my fucking day to day. Ordinary to disarray. Picture perfect fade away. Down, down. Ordinary to disarray. Picture perfect fade away. Curate my gallery. It's like my fucking day to day. Ordinary to disarray. Down. Picture perfect fade away. Down. Ordinary to disarray. Down. Curate my
AustralianMusiciansRadio.com.